Agenda's been done in alphabetical order. That's not fair, but I'm lazy.
Did you introduce yourself?
No. I'm not sure I want to know where they can find me. Actually, I'm Ed McKinney and represent Mount Angel Chamber of Commerce. I work with Maureen on the Political Action Legislative Committee, and I generally don't look too bad because Maureen just does one great job. So the candidates for Congress, and I'm not going to give you any rundown. They've got literature. They're going to tell you about themselves, and besides that, most of them you know anyway. We have Raymond Baldwin, Constitution Party. We have Christine Lugo, Pacific Green Party. We have Kurt Schrader, incumbent Congressman, Democratic Party, and Fred Thompson, the Republican candidate for Congress. And we will start out with Raymond Baldwin, the Constitutional Party, and you have 5 minutes, and I will give you a 1-minute warning when you're getting close to your time up.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm very thankful to have this opportunity for it. It's really important to me because not having $2.3 million, I really don't have a way to get out too much of my word, but we're struggling with doing that, and we will continue to the end. I am Raymond Baldwin. I'll give you a little rundown on myself, and then a little rundown on the Communist Party, on the Constitutional Party. I'm sorry. But anyway, I'm Raymond Baldwin. I've lived here my entire life, and I'm a native born going in like the other candidates, and I went to North Marion High School. I graduated there. I went to Portland State. I studied Middle East Studies there in political science. I'm the father of 9 children. I have 9 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. The reason that I'm running is because I don't feel that our country's safe anymore. The Constitution is sacred to me. I believe that God had his finger on that, and that those who inspired him wrote that. They wrote it for a reason. The reason was to protect us. And so that's why I'm running, because I feel threatened. And I would just like to tell you a little bit what the Constitutional Party stands for. I need some glasses. The first thing is that we have seven different principles that we stand for. The first one is the sanctity of life. And it's the first duty of government to protect the innocent human life from conception until death, with no exceptions. And when government sanctions abortions or euthanasia, then all lives are at risk. Number 2, we believe in liberty. Far from granting a license in whatever you want, we have staked our whole future and the future of America, as James Madison said, on our ability to line our lives with the 10 Commandments. And that's what James Madison said. So when we do that, then we don't have any problems. When we don't do that, then we have problems. The purpose of law is to govern, and the Constitution is a sacred piece. There's over 200 other countries that have used our Constitution to make their own. Number 3, families. Our Creator set up the place for family as the first divinely instituted form of government. Therefore, it is the duty of civil government to recognize and protect the authority of the family unit, which this state does not do. Property. We believe that the right of individuals to own and steward their own property. We believe that in things such as thou shalt not steal and thou shalt not covet shows the intent of God to be the master of our fate. Now, it was James Madison who said, conscience is the most sacred of all property. Constitution is these United States, our Constitution established a representative federal republic, which represents the sovereignty of the people under God over the state. Our founders proposed that the Constitution would uphold these ideals expressed in the Declaration of Independence as the law of the land and limit the power and scope of the federal government. Limited local government. Our desire is to return the federal government and keep to the constitutional boundaries of the 10th Amendment. And finally, sovereignty. We are firmly committed to the protection of our borders, our trade, our common defense, and we believe that America is the friend of liberty everywhere, but the grantor and provider of our own. And we oppose membership in the United Nations and any other treaty or affiliation that attempts to assert authority over the Constitution or bypass the sovereign citizens' constitutionally elected representatives. This is a little book. It's called The Constitution of the United States. They don't teach it much in schools anymore. I suppose they don't really have much when it comes to pledging allegiance. I was really happy last night in Depot Bay when they had us say the Pledge of Allegiance. We have 3 bills that, as far as I'm concerned, are unconstitutional. 1 was the bailout of banks that didn't bail the people out. 2 is the Patriot Act that strips us of our constitutional rights. And it looks like I'm done.
Yeah, your time's up. Thank you, Raymond.
Thank you.
Christine Lugo, Pacific Green Party presentation.
It doesn't work.
It's not working. And I will give you 1 minute when you're getting close to being 5 minutes being up.
All right. Hi, my name is Christina Lugo. I am the candidate for the Pacific Green Party, and I'm here tonight. I thank you for giving me some of your time to talk about us. The Green Party is a third party, so we're a minor party, but we are on the ballot, and we have 3 candidates that you can vote for. We have our candidate for president, Jill Stein, and then our candidate for Secretary of State, Seth Woolley, and myself, I'm Christina Lugo. I'm running for office to represent the Green Party, basically. And we're a little bit kind of to the left of the Democrats. I mean, that's kind of a good way to put it. So a lot of times my more progressive friends will say, oh, I would vote for you if I felt like it was safe. I mean, that's what I hear a lot from my progressive friends. So, you know, we may or may not be a party for you, but I just want to tell you a little bit about what we stand for. We stand for the environment. Obviously, that's why we have the name of the Green Party. So the kind of policies that I support and that the Green Party supports have to do with things like preserving the environment. For me, I'm very concerned about the impact of global warming on our planet. And I'm really concerned about the impact of global warming on the future. I was at the forum last week with Mr. Schrader, and we had a chance to present some of our positions on issues like the liquid natural gas port in Coos Bay proposal, or shipping coal through our region to China. And these are some of the kinds of issues that the Green Party really supports trying to find alternatives to, because we only have so many fossil fuels that we can burn. And it's really clear that the fossil fuels that we are burning are heating up our planet, and they're contributing to the record drought that happened in the Midwest and the South this year, and they're responsible for our increased food prices that we have, and the cost of gas is going up, and the only people who are really benefiting from the increased cost of gas are corporations and, you know, the wealthy. And we really have to start thinking now about the long-term sustainability of our planet and of our country. So we try to put together how to create sustainable energy and how to have like a sustainable future with thinking about how to do it in a way that creates jobs. And the Green Party has done a lot of thinking about this. We've done a lot of thinking about it here in Europe, and we've done a lot of thinking about it here in the United States. And it can all be found in our Green New Deal, which you can find at the Green Party website. It's basically a plan for how to reinvest in our country and create more green jobs. So that's the most important issue. As a progressive candidate, you can also imagine some of the other issues that I stand for, that I support. It's very important for me to preserve women's right to choose. I feel very strongly about that. I feel like the right for a woman to have sanctity of her own body is fundamental, and that this is a right that must be preserved. It's very, very important. It's what has, in part, helped women have tremendous progress in the last 2 generations here in this country. I support single-payer health care, so I support a Canadian-style system of health care where everyone has health insurance. I believe it's the most common sense and practical way of allowing people to have one. Thank you very much. And I'm also somewhat of a pacifist. I'm not a complete pacifist, but I support bringing our troops home from Afghanistan now. And I only support really, really limited intervention overseas. I think that what we did in Libya, for instance, was probably a positive thing. And I kind of wish we would do something in Syria right now, because I feel like Syria really is a human rights crisis. But I only really support using our military for human rights issues or for national defense. So those are some of the things that I stand for, and I really thank you for taking some time to listen to me. And have a good evening. Thank you.
Congressman Kurt Schrader, Democratic candidate.
Well, it's great to be back in Mount Angel. Appreciate everyone taking time out tonight to come on out and listen to all the candidates here as we describe our relative positions and what we're about. I'm the current congressman from the 5th Congressional District, a veterinarian, actually, in real life. I live on a 60-acre farm that my family and I farm for 20-some years, veterinarian for 35 years, actually. I was actually a respected position in the community compared to what I am now. Now I'm mobile, apparently. I think it's important to have people that have worked, I think, in the community like I and my family have. We started that business ourselves, started both businesses ourselves, so we know how tough it can be for small business folks out there, especially in this tough time. Actually, if you need payrolls, I think that's an important thing. If you've got people that are responsible enough to take on the risk of a small business and have to meet payrolls, often putting the welfare of your employees and stuff ahead of your own, I think it helps me understand a little bit of the turmoil that folks are going through in these very, very difficult times right now. And my family's had some pretty tough times. Value-wise, I think it's important that your decisions be guided by certain values. I guess I can sum mine up in wanting to promote opportunities for folks, believe strongly in personal responsibility, and strongly in community. And I think community really defines Mount Angel. This is a great community. The stuff they've done here, their center is just pretty amazing, all done by folks willing to step up and help out on their own. It's very, very impressive. I think I've been pretty successful in the short period of time I've been in the United States Congress for Oregon, and particularly for the Mid-Willamette Valley and Oregon coast, Central Oregon coast. We had a big role to play in getting the NOAA fleet to move from Seattle on down here to create hopefully a real hub of economic activity in an area of Oregon that was in double-digit recession for probably the last 20 years. And now they're enjoying a great opportunity by being there in Newport. We're very active despite the fact there's no earmarks, so we were able to help Woodburn and Salem make persuasive cases for some of the industrial development that's going on. Woodburn, we finally got the Woodburn interchange going off the books and onto actual construction coming up next spring. The Salem Industrial Park is going, which I think is a big deal for Mid-Willamette Valley economic activity. Hopefully feeds into the Mount Angel area. We've been very, I think, successful for our Guard. We actually opened the big grand opening for the New Dallas Armory. So that our warriors that are fighting for us overseas come back to a world-class training facility and not, frankly, something that's 100 years old and frankly falling apart, showing them the respect I think they deserve. Agriculture is a big part of this area, big part of my life, big part of the district, and we've been very successful bringing agricultural grants back. When the Drosophila suzuki mosquito was threatening our stone fruit crops, we were able to get the Secretary of Agriculture's attention get the chairman of the Ag Committee out here to see what was going on, and actually get grants for OSU to help make a difference and keep that crop alive and well, and prevent devastation that would have been really harmful to the farming community. And we advocate for a lot of research dollars that help all the farmers in this area. Nationally, right, to be honest, I think I'm very proud of the fact we kept this country out of a depression. Certainly the recession is bad enough, but we kept this country out of a depression. I think that's a big deal. We actually have gotten Wall Street somewhat under control. It must be, because they're fighting everything we do tooth and nail. So the fact that we're starting to get some of the rapacious people back east to be accountable for the needs that caused a lot of the problems that we all faced over the last 4 or 5 years, I think is a big deal. We started a patient-based healthcare system that I think over the long haul will be really good for folks. Thanks, Ed. We've also started on the road to energy independence. I've been surprised at what a big country this is and the diversity of energy resources and needs that folks have. And although it's been labeled a do-nothing Congress, we actually did pass the Budget Control Act, cut our spending by over $1 trillion over the next 10 years, got a good fair trade bill passed with Korea, patent reform and Jobs Act allow entrepreneurs to develop their businesses here in this country, and finally passed a transportation bill against all odds that will hopefully put men and women to work right now and set the stage for the future for our kids and grandkids. And I thank you all for coming.
Fred Thompson, Republican candidate for Congress.
Well, certainly a pleasure to be here tonight. You know, running for office, of any office, and having a name that rings the bells is works pretty well for you. I'm real thrilled that my name is Fred Thompson. My parents didn't name me Harry Reid. So you know, that carries me pretty well. But that only lasts for a little while. Then you have to get out and do something. Now, I put this brochure together, and I'd like you to pick up a copy either before or after you leave here. But on the front is a bunch of stuff I want to do. I have a 7-point plan here that talks about some of the things that I want to have happen. I've been in the timber industry for over 25 years, so I want the federal government out of our timberland and have the ownership of that by Oregonians. The counties need to own that. If you want to create jobs, you need to control the asset or own the asset. And that's what we need to do. We've lost over 300 mills over the last 20 plus years, and around 40,000 families have lost their jobs. When I came back from Vietnam, I'm a Vietnam vet. When I came back, I started coming to Oregon, and you could get a family wage-paying job in any town in this great state. That's not the case today. They've taken all that away from us. And I'll tell you, we are the tree-growing capital of the world. Today in America, we import 40% of our timber. And we have this wonderful asset here. We're going through an economic situation today we don't have to go through. You know, if you look at North Dakota is utilizing their natural resource. They have over $1.2 billion in their state coffers. We'd have over $5 billion if we would get back to utilizing our natural resources. That is a problem. Now, a little bit about my background is when I came out of the military, I went through a millwright apprenticeship, an electrical apprenticeship. I hold an Oregon electrical license. Certified welder, and got my associate degree in apprenticeship trade. Went on and got my bachelor's degree from Linfield. And then went and got a presidential key executive MBA from Pepperdine University, which happens to be ranked #1 in the world on ethics. I chose to go there, and for that particular reason. I grew up on a dairy, so I know how to work. You know, when I went in the Army, they said you have to get up at 5, and I've been getting up at 4, and I said, gee, I get to sleep in an extra hour. I spent a year over in Germany with an artillery outfit, and then got promoted, and they shipped me to Vietnam with the 101st Airborne, which I was in helicopters and missions were classified for 30 years. G. Gordon Liddy is somebody that I know, that we were in special ops, so I've been shot at real bullets, so Washington, D.C. doesn't really bother me, but we do need to get everybody around the table and resolve some of these problems. I've been fortunate in my life. I've worked in Canada, and I've worked in Mexico, and I worked in Europe. When I worked for GP, I went through operations and all the way into engineering, and I got automating the first wood products mill in the United States, and it happened to be in Eugene, Oregon. The corporation said, if you can do that in that plant, can you do it in the other plants? And I said, yes. And I had so many plants that they assigned a helicopter to me in Eugene, and I used to fly the plants in the helicopter. I could use that helicopter today, because running in the 5th Congressional District, you're on the road all the time. So it's really important to know that, you know, I've been able to accomplish things. I helped establish the 7th largest woman-owned business in the United States in Athens, Georgia. So I had the experience of working with governments from all different states, and I worked with Gary Philman, the premier of Manitoba, as the governor up there, and helped put together a 300 farmer co-op. And put that organization together where we took wheat straw and made a composite panel out of it for the furniture industry. So there's a lot of things that I've done in my background that really will enhance the job creation that we need in this state. I ran chemical plants, I've done due diligence in aerospace companies, and I worked in some high-tech businesses, helping them rearrange their companies. So I have that insight of what we need to do in order to really create the economy that we need in this great state. You know, we're suffering way too much, folks. We're suffering way too much. And what are our children going to do? I have 2 sons that are 14 and 16. What kind of life are they going to have? You know, my wife is now Assistant Attorney General. She was a professor of architecture, and helped her get through law school in order to be able to have the career that she needs. But what kind of future are they going to have if we don't turn this economy around and get everybody around the table to resolve these problems? That's what I've done my whole career. That's what I'll do representing you in Washington, D.C. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Fred. Questions? Yes.
Hi, I'm Susan Gallagher, and I work for Providence Benedictine Nursing Center, arguably the best nursing center in Oregon, certainly the most innovative. 85% of our residents are on Medicaid and long-term care units, so we fundraise to help pay that cost. We're a nonprofit. President Romney, or Governor Romney, might become president. And this, I don't know how we want to direct questions, whether it needs to be everybody or,
Your choice.
okay, I
If
think.
you want to single out one person, it depends on obviously what the question
Okay,
is.
well, I'll
Or
state
you
the
can make it
question.
to everybody or anything in between.
Okay. So, Governor Romney might become president. We have, under President Obama, headed down the path of Obamacare, which is very much changing healthcare. It leaves the nursing home looking at a very different environment. If Governor Romney becomes president, he has vowed to end Obamacare, which will throw the future of the nursing home, I think, at even greater risk. And so what I would like to know is, if you are elected, what can you do to ensure the stability of someplace like Providence Benedictine Nursing Center?
And who would you like to direct it to first?
I think
I'm glad to address that, Susan. Thank you. Our seniors have sacrificed a great deal for this country, the greatest generation, quite frankly. I think everyone on this panel would agree to that. Their health care is at risk. It's uncertain times. Cost of health care has gone up. Not a good thing, but it's a reality and probably reflects a lot of the great advances that's keeping us ambulatory and at home and healthier longer, quite frankly. There's less people paying into our Medicare or Medicaid type systems. I'm one of the generation of the baby boomers that's going to be hopefully retiring soon. These guys are going to retire me real quick. I'm not quite ready yet. And I think we're getting good value for the dollar, but it's very difficult. So to Susan's point, I think we've got to reinvent a little bit what we've been doing to make sure that it's still there, not just for us here, but for the nursing care centers, the foster homes, the assisted living facilities that do great work in Oregon. Being back east, it's astonishing to me how the range of options is not there. The community-based care, the continuum of care that we have here in Oregon, we're really blessed to have. And what I think we need to do is have some certainty. One of the best things about the health care bill, regardless of how you feel about different elements of it, is that it is guaranteed, and the reason I ended up voting for the bill at the end of the day, to change the Medicare reimbursement and I think ultimately the Medicaid reimbursement formulas to where you get paid for doing a good job, not just showing up at the end of the day. And being value-based, outcome-based is what the governor's talking about, his coordinated care. The Medicaid dollars that he was able to secure from Washington, D.C. with my help and the rest of the delegation's help is going to be critical to reinventing the system where a senior citizen, a poor person, a child, half the Medicaid population in Oregon, frankly, is children. It's not a bunch of malingerers. Half the people on Medicaid are children.
Thank you, Congressman.
So it's a very important thing to make sure that they have the assistance they need to get the reimbursement. And that's what we're
Anybody else want to address?
I think we all do, so Christina, good word.
Ladies first.
I'd like to know what more details about how it will affect a nursing program that's both public and privately held.
Say that again.
I would like to know more afterwards about how the Affordable Care Act will affect your program specifically in order to really answer your question.
So you're proposing you meet after the meeting with...
Well, I would like to learn more about this. But in general, I feel like what we need to do is, I mean, we have to secure programs like Medicaid, and we have to look at how we spend our money across the spectrum. Because part of what we do right now is we spend almost $700 billion a year on the military, while at the same time we're not investing money in our domestic concerns, things that, such as healthcare and infrastructure. And I feel like part of the reason that there's so much concern and uncertainty about issues like Social Security, healthcare, our bridges, our schools, is because we're diverting that money into spaces where maybe we could be cutting back. So that's
Thank you,
part of what I
Christina.
wanted to do. And I would like to learn more.
Raymond, you want?
Sure, let's jump in on that one. Okay, I oppose the bill, and quite frankly, I would vote to repeal it. Primarily because it was pushed through, and you guys probably didn't even have enough time to read all those pages. But even though there may be 5 or 10 good things in there, there was 3 or 4 bad things. And the bad things is the government taking over our medical records, putting us at the mercy of committees that will decide whether or not we need these operations or don't. It really takes away our control, puts it in the hands of the federal government, and that's exactly what I'm opposed to. So, to answer your question, how would we fund those things? Well, they've been getting funded, and I would suggest that we continue to fund it that way. However, I would like to point out that, Kurt might want to touch on the fiscal shelf, the fiscal cliff that we're going to, hit on January 2nd, as far as funding is concerned, because Congress is in a gridlock because they can't get along, they can't figure it out, can't work together. So it's real simple. You take away the federal rights, you return the rights to the people and to the local government, and allow the people to prosper. When the individual's okay, then the group will be fine.
Thank you, Ray. Fred?
To answer your question, my mother Saturday would be 92 years old, so I'm not an investment mom. So, and she's in a care facility. I think it's very important that this generation is protected because, they are the greatest generation. I mean, we're all part of that. And we've paid into this system for a long time. But I'll give you a personal experience about somebody who needed health care was my mother-in-law. And she had a stroke. And my father-in-law was able to help her, and with Medicare and Medicaid would help her, and she recovered from that. But what happened because she recovered from that, she was able to spend 4 more years with my oldest son. And in those 4 years, she taught him all about his alphabet and his numbers. And it was critical because she really launched his whole life. Because she was able to give him 4 more years. Because the medicine was able to help her, with that stroke system. So I think it's really important that we look at what happens between grandparents and that young generation. They have such an impact on those kids. And we're the richest nation in the world. All right, utilize our natural resources so we have the revenue, take a dividend for that, and take care of our senior citizens in their time of need, because as you get older, that's when you need the health care. So I think we need to make sure that we fund that and take care of that.
Thank you, Fred. We'll take one more question. If you got one with short answers, it would be better because we're running over
A
time.
yes or no answer, right?
Yes, Tom?
Oh, Ed, so many questions, so little time. But I do want to address one question in the first instance to Representative Schroeder. We have a $16 trillion debt. This is the responsibility of a number of administrations, in my opinion, and I'm a Republican. We're talking about raising revenue. We also need to reduce costs. I frankly, and I hope you can persuade me differently, I have no confidence in this Congress, Democrats and Republicans, to make the tough choices to reduce expenses so that we can deal with this deficit.
Thank you, Tom. Congressman?
Well, that's a real legitimate concern, I think, at the end of the day. The fiscal cliff that Ray talked about and you're alluding to is coming fast and coming hard. A lot of people want to pretend it's not there, but it is. My approach to that is the one that the Debt Commission came up with, which is the Simpson Bowles plan. And it talks about the real two issues we have with the federal government. One, our revenues as a percentage of our gross domestic product are an all-time low. Good, bad, or indifferent, I think all the parties are guilty of causing that problem. You can't build a nice power transportation system when you got a 19th century revenue plan. Secondly is these entitlement programs I talked about. They're wonderful, they're safety net, but they're going fast and they're unsustainable. So we need to make reforms in the entitlement programs. We need to raise revenues not through raising taxes, but through tax reform. That seems to be getting some play both in the presidential debates and nationally. And there are 38 members of Congress, I was one of them, that had the political courage to vote for that bill when it came up as a budget. I'm hoping after the elections, people get more courage and they'll follow us. And we actually, in this lame duck session, will produce exactly what you want.
Thank you, Congressman. Anybody else care to address that? Yes, Christina.
So, being a Green, I'm sure you can understand my perspective. It's that we maybe not understand it, but I will express it. It's that this is a long-term, multi-generational issue. What we've done in the last generation is we've really kind of embraced selfishness, and we have embraced wealth and privilege and forgotten about people who really contribute to the middle class. And our real strength as a society is our middle class. And as long as we let corporations ship jobs off to China and to Mexico and don't support our unions and allow corporations to pay as little in taxes as possible, it helps to raise our debt and as a
Thank you,
nation.
Christina.
Okay.
There's too much uncertainty right now with our government, and people are not going to invest our capital until we limit that uncertainty. We have too many special interest groups. We have the government picking winners and losers and spending too much money on that. We need to go back and let the government do what they're supposed to do, which is follow the Constitution, and let private industry go ahead and grow this economy. That's what's happening in North Dakota, and their revenue has increased by 82%. We need to do that everywhere, including Oregon.
Thank you, Fred. Ray?
Okay, well, first of all, I think we need to get rid of the Federal Reserve, or at least have an audit of the Federal Reserve, since how we don't know who's running it. And the second thing is we need to get back to something, either a gold or a silver base for our economy. If we don't, then we're going to be shuffled right into the New World Order, right? I'm not going gentle into that good night, so I'm going to fight against the dying of the Constitution and the light of our freedom. And as for money, this nation is made up of spirit. It's not made up of money. It's made up of faith. You have to have faith in your neighbor and yourself. You have to take care of your neighbor. we frankly have a serious situation. We're not even, our military is going to be defunded on January 2nd. We have serious world problems.